Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Supercoach Challenges, and tonight the teams have been released for round 6, and there have been some interesting changes made to some teams. How much they will be relevant to our teams is going to be something to behold, because we don't really know how well these will hold up, but it is actually very interesting to see that these moves have been made by some of these teams. We'll have a quick look at the teams, go through, have a discussion, and then we'll move on to looking at what we're deciding for the final parts of these trades, because it is going to be very interesting to decide what we'll do. We still got the same players in from last round, and it doesn't, not last round, last video, but it doesn't look like it will probably change much. But as I say, we'll have a look at the team and see if there's anything interesting that's come up. So first we got Fremantle. They've got Fremantle versus the Dogs. No real changes here, just Alex Keefe in. Josh Bruce is actually a little bit of a big change for some of the owners out there. I think that he was told, well, his rib injury that he got last week in the game was a bit worse than they thought it was, and hopefully for Bruce owners, it's not very long, but it might be the time to downgrade him. I'm not sure how much money Bruce actually made for players out there. He only made 66 grand. So what's his break even? Like, it wouldn't be very 28. So it's not too bad. He's just coming off of 2 scores of 62 and 42. The 38 was finally out of his cycle, but he decided to replace that with a 42, which isn't great. But, you know, the first 2 scores, not too bad. 54, 74 and a 62. But I think you may want to look at moving him on. But I guess if you don't have issues with your team, you might just keep him and hold on to him on the bench. Now, otherwise, there's not much interesting here. Keith slides into centre half back. Now, they've named Dale and Richards on the half-back flank, which is interesting. And Johannesson is back there as well, who's been someone who got DPP with the mid defender, 320k. They've kind of changed his role up a little bit at the Dogs. He's getting some kick-outs, which is nice, but be interesting to see if he keeps that role, because Bevo has been liking to kind of switch us around a bit. We've got McRae on the wing. Tom McLean is actually playing now. I wonder how much money he's ended up making this season, because he was someone we were pretty big on at the start, but then he kind of didn't really find his way into our teams, and he's actually 6k cheaper. So this is actually very interesting, because McLean was someone who has shown previously he can score well, but I think job security is the big issue with him. Now, he is playing over Mitch Hannon, who I must assume that he has come in for, because I believe he was a sub last round. Yeah, just looking at that, he was the was he? Yeah, he was the sub. He would have been the sub with that 7. Obviously, that's not great for his price rising in the future, but looks like he may be getting a shot in there for a bit more playtime. So that's good for people if they're trying to think of maybe a half-forward rookie that they can bring in who actually might not score too badly. Actually, something a lot of people should think about, because McLean can get, you know, he did have a 62 in one game, and who knows how much time on ground that was based off of. So maybe someone want to look at. Otherwise, not much here for Fremantle. Matt Johnson is actually named on the ball. That's quite a big thing for Fremantle players. It doesn't look like they've decided to bring in Will Brodie. Oh, no, Will Brodie is in as well in the centre, and they've named them both on ball, with Sarong starting on the bench. So you assume that's probably going to change. Well, like Sarong be going to there, but it looks like O'Meara might have been pushed to the forward line, because they did actually have some success with him playing out of the forward line. So maybe Johnson is going to get a good enough role, and he will stick to that position as a follower. It could be that he just starts in there and then he gets sat full forward pocket for a bit longer. So definitely something to think about as well. On the Dog side of things, there's not really much here. Caleb Daniels starting on the bench. Baker's on the bench. So for Baker owners, you probably wanted to see him on a wing. McRae's moved to the wing, which is actually really nice. I probably already mentioned that. I wish that Bevo would just play him where he should be, in the midfield instead of Treloar. Treloar's got hammy issues. You'd think he'd be playing majority forward, switching into the midfield instead of McRae doing that, what seemingly being that role. But, Beva's going to keep switching that around till he can figure something out. So, and there's nothing really else interesting here. Now, Port Adelaide is a big couple changes. So, Bryn Teakle in, who we all picked up last year as a rookie forward ruck. And he had a quite good scoring profile, and I think he might have got injured in that second game, maybe? Or did he have a small price rise? Let's tell me. Teakle. He's priced at 198k as a ruck. That's quite good. And they've dropped Scotty Lysette and Charlie Dixon's injured, which you would think means that he's going to get a good run in the ruck. Now, I don't know about Ollie Lord. Is he a ruckman or defender? He's a defender forward. Which is quite annoying for people who are looking at bringing in Dylan Williams, who's now been omitted and was on the bubble. Maybe we can get him for a couple games later on in the season when we need a downgrade option. But interesting that they decided to bring in these two, especially against West Coast. I don't think Williams did much wrong really last week, but especially to go out against West Coast, who pretty much have a VFL side at this point with all the injuries. Or waffle side with all the injuries they have at the moment. But it looks like Port are actually leaning into a bit of future planning because running the Charlie Dixon ruck is really hurting him because he's a bit older now with the bigger body. When he's jumping into those rucks, it's not really helping him out too much, getting smashed around. And I think with the fact they're having to play Finlayson and him through there when Lysette does get injured, seems like maybe they're trying to give Teakle a bit of a run to kind of get him used to that ruck role that they might need him for in the next coming couple of years. Because if you look at Port Adelaide, there isn't actually much in the ruck line that they have at all. I mean, it hasn't necessarily affected them. Actually, Williams looks like he could be sub. That's horrid. That is not what you want to see because that's just going to absolutely wreck any chance he had of making us money. He had 2 good scores and now he's being played as the sub. God damn it. I hate the sub. Why did they have to bring that in? Anyway, let's move along. So, Bryn Teakle actually had a very good scoring profile. I'm pretty sure he went like 70s in his 2 games last year, or maybe even better. So, could be one to watch for us to downgrade to, especially in a couple of weeks if he keeps playing. If Samson Ryan kind of bottoms out, that would be a pretty nice pickup for maybe a straight switch for. I mean, he is priced at 190, so maybe it's not that good, but just something to look at, especially if he starts going big as a ruck. And West Coast, nothing big with the ins. I'm not sure about Luke Foley and Zane True. I mean, they could be priced low, but will they keep their position if players come back in? I'm not sure. I think that the big one out now here is more than Elliot Yeo is Noah Long. He's been a great cash cow for a lot of teams, and now he's injured and missing a game, which really, really sucks for those coaches. He'd been kind of a bit of a hidden gem that not many had got on, and now being injured kind of makes you put you in a hard position because he's probably not going to make money. We've got other rookies that are, well, he will make money because he will get back in, and hopefully this injury isn't too bad, but just stores his cash down and we're trying to upgrade and it just really, really hurts. So couple up as no long owners. I am actually one of them. So, but it will be interesting to see what we get from West Coast this week. I think it's going to be an absolute drumming, but they do have a good record at the Adelaide Oval, so maybe anything could happen. As far as positions go, I mean, Jimby's retained. We actually thought he would be. He is actually named on a forward flank, so maybe that's more reason to put him out with his high break even. But otherwise, no real surprises here. Rotham in the back line is actually interesting. I'm not sure what he's priced at. I think it would actually be 300, so probably not relevant. 270, yeah. Not relevant. He's on the bubble. But if he's playing defense and he gets a good role there because of all the injuries they have, that could actually be interesting. Anyway, onto GWS, and we have two decent ins for one decent in for GWS as a whole, but one actually decent in for Brent Daniel owners who have held him as a starting rookie. I think he was priced at around 200k, and he was scoring quite well before his injury. He's now back in the team, and we see Kennedy and Hamilton out. Not much surprise there, and Tom Green suspended. Looking at the teams, Buckley is still in centre half back, which is nice. He's been scoring really well. Whitfield Nash on those back flanks with Cumming, Taylor, and Haynes. So nothing interesting there. Kelly's in the middle, which is what we like to see. He got put out to the wing a little bit last week, which really affected his scoring. But it looks like they're putting him back in the middle. Forward line, pretty standard. Cogs is in the middle, which you'll love to see. It really sucks that he's put up some poor performances that have dropped his price so low. I feel like a lot of people are really going to benefit from that. Paying $550 for him hurts a little bit, but back to, and now he's at $480. So not in our team yet in Supercoach, in the Supercoach Challengers team, but it could be interesting to see add him soon because he is bottoming out, I think. And Rouston, who had a very good last quarter, is on the interchange bench. And Brisbane, nothing real interesting here. You still got McKenna on a half-back flank. Wilmot's now been named on a back flank, but probably will go into the wing as well, as he has been previous weeks. Bailey named in the middle. Would assume he'd be switching up forward with Zorko. McInerney, Dunkley, Neil, nothing really there. And pretty straightforward team for Brisbane. All right, on to Geelong. And Ryan Clark has been named. And for those who don't know, Ryan Clark has been used by Sydney on a few occasions now to tag one Tom Stewart. And what I would be saying to that is, if you're thinking of bringing in Tom Stewart, just wait a week, because he does have still I think his break even still around 120, which he could beat. But if they're putting Sydney have brought Clark in for a reason here, and that is to tag Stewart, he'd probably be out next week. And if that means it's really bad for Stewart holders. So probably steer clear from him. If you're thinking of picking him up, because you could get him at a nice price or a nicer price, maybe $550 a bit later on if Clark can hold him to a bad score. Not saying that he will, but he has done the job previously. On the Geelong side, nothing really relevant. I mean, Stengel's injured, which is just bad for them in general. But on the Sydney side, with obviously we've spoken about Ryan Clark, Corey Warner out. I think he might come back for Clark if they decide to, if this is just a 1 week thing. But I'd probably prefer seeing Will Gould. I feel like we'd love to see more of this guy, but for some reason Sydney are holding him back. So that's a bit annoying. It looks like Warner could be used as a sub, but it could be Gould. So I don't know which you'd rather. They're both priced around the same. I think Gould scored a bit better than Warner, so probably just rather Warner get that. But either way, that's a bit sucky that we're losing two possible rookies there. Not really surprising for Gould, but just with the way Sydney have not picked him the past few years. But anyway, going down here. So Lloyd's been named at centre half back. He's been one that a few people have been looking at bringing in. Looks like, well, there's nothing really changing in their backline, I guess. I think Blakey's going to be the main kick-out guy / distributor out there, but Lloyd seems to just be able to rack it up either way. I think it will be a little bit harder against Geelong than it was against Richmond, but he's still there at least. Mills named in the middle. He's been a bit lackluster this year, but it's just because Sydney have been moving him around just to fix holes. So, I'd probably stay away from Mills. Goulden's on a half-forward flank, very popular pick, but he'll just switch into the middle. We'd probably think. I've probably gone a bit cold on that pick if picking him up at the moment, just because it has seemed like they're playing Parker more through there than they have been Goulden. I think his actual CBAs were up last week, so yeah, I'm probably just bullshitting. But his scoring has kind of it hasn't been bad. It's just not, we saw those preseason games and he got the massive one, 60 or 70 or whatever it was, and he hasn't got anywhere near that yet. So anyway, I'd still be holding Goulden if you have him. Going down. Yeah, Clark on the bench. Oh, and Matt Roberts kept his spot, which is great because he looked good. Well, he got a good score. I've heard he actually didn't look that great, but he got a 93, and a lot of people looking at bringing him in. With Warner and Gould being dropped, I mean, at least his security is better than theirs, but will it keep that way? I don't know. I'm not really sure. He was played as the sub before, and what's stopping them from putting him back there's my only thing with that. Next, we have got the Crows versus Hawthorn. Hawthorn have put McGuinness, Scrimshaw, and Lynch. So with McGuinness, now this is obviously extended bench. So the thing with McGuinness is they could be playing him, bring him into tag. He was emergencies last week, I believe. So maybe it's just there from last week. I thought he was, or maybe they dropped him out. We're not really sure how these ins work fully. But Ned Long is staying in the team. He could be a good upgrade option next week. 161k. I think he had like a 60, 70. So if he's going to get a nice run in the followers, he could be a good one to pick up, especially with Mackenzie getting dropped now. Although he could be straight out when Will Day is back next week. Otherwise, not much here. Sicily's on a back flank, which is nice. Hopefully he can get some kickouts for holders, or he's just going to drop more cash. Jimmy Warpool in the middle. Not much else there. Wingard's back after the lacerated tongue. Thanks for that, mate. You just absolutely stuffed Mackenzie, which is unreal, but you found a way. Bruce hasn't been dropped with all the injury concerns about him, so good for those holders. The interesting part here is probably the interchange because James Mitchell was also a choice that people were looking at, and I think he could go out here. Grimshaw's probably going to come in and take Mitchell's spot, so that is probably a dead rookie. I would not be trading him in, and it's probably going to be lucky that people, if he, let's just say if he stays in this week and Scrimshaw comes in as well, that's really good for his job security. But you look at that interchange and go, who are they going to drop? I feel like Mackenzie's going to play. Brockman has been playing really well, so he'd probably play. And then McGuinness, you feel like they're brought in literally for the tag. And then there's Lynch. Lynch won't play. Meek might play. If it's the first four, you'd be happy. Maybe Scrimshaw's just being put in there in case he gets up. And needs a bit more time. But, Josh Ward, like McGuinness, I feel has been brought in for a specific reason, and that is to tag Dawson. So, I feel like he's going to be in the team, and that could mean that Mitchell goes out. Maybe Mackenzie's going to get a rest. I feel like if Mackenzie gets a rest, you can maybe hold him for another week and move someone else on. But he does have a big break even, and we are trying to upgrade. So if you need the cash, move him along. Looking at the Crows, so Himmelberg, Hately, and Nankervis. I can't see any of them coming to the team. Nothing real different here. The Crows are, they won last week. They're not going to change it that much. Chase Jones is named centre half forward. This is just a strange setup. Tex will go to full forward. What I don't like about that is Chase Jones is one that people have been thinking about bringing in at 300k. I didn't look at the teams last week, so I don't know exactly how they named him. Maybe we'll do that at the end of this, but him being named on a half-forward flank could be quite bad. We were before it was kind of hoping he was going off the half-back and running through. Now maybe he's going to get that wing position that Scholl's got. He could swap with Pedler. Maybe that's what's going to happen when this gets finalised. Pedler goes into that forward line spot. But if you're going to bring in Jones, you probably want to see him named on that wing when this changes up. Because, at the same time, it is against Hawthorn, and Crows have been playing really, really well. So he could get a lot of chance to kick goals here. So maybe it is actually not that bad. He's on a forward flank, but a little bit of a red flag. Otherwise, not much surprising with the Crows. Now, Carlton, Alex Shinkoda is in, which is 102,400k player. And he has been lighting up the VFL, averaging, I think, high 30s in the last few matches. So that's great for people looking for Chicotta. He is named in the extended bench, which means he might not get a look in. If they play him as sub, that is going to be really flattening. I really hope they don't. Also, I hate playing debutants as the sub. It's just a stupid thing that teams shouldn't do. They should at least realize that there's a bit more to, a player's first game. You don't want them to be on the bench and maybe get 5 minutes at the end and that be their debut game. It's just a joke. I really hate the sub. I just think I understand they needed it for concussion, but it's just stupid. Just put a fifth person on the bench, then we might as well. Why put a sub in? If one side loses a player when there's 4 on the bench, then it's 3v4. But instead you're making it 4v4 again, but one team gets fresh legs. I know it's a tactical sub now, but it just absolutely wrecks us in Supercoach. It's so hard to plan for players. So, that's annoying. Mitch McGovern. So I think he's at 350 now, but if you got him at 300, I think he's going to get a lot of kickouts now that both Sard and Doherty are out. So that could be good for his scoring. He did have a big game before he's injured, but I would stay away from him. He just gets injured all the time. No good. Cowan's kept his spot, so that kind of tells you maybe Sincotta's not going to get a run, or Chincotta. Holland's still on the wing. I actually really hate that I missed Hollands. I should have gone from him to Phillips. Instead, I went to someone else. Hollands looks like a very good rookie wing option. Who at some point is going to go on a run in 90s. And maybe St Kilda's the team that brings him into that. Walsh is on the wing. See if he can back up another week. But I guess a bit of conditioning is going to only be the issue with him. So on the St Kilda side, so Jack Steele has been named. Was he on his first or second game when he got injured? I assume it was his second. So he's going to look at getting a price rise, I think. But yeah, I'd assume he'd have. Oh, did he go? No, I reckon he went for like a 90 or 100, didn't he, when he got injured? So it might not be a huge break even, but he could lose a bit of money, so you could wait. And he feels like a guy you kind of have to wait on a little bit these days because he just seems to have something wrong with him all the time. Otherwise, Wangani Malera's backline. Sinclair's been named in the backline. Those two are fighting for kickouts, which is not good for either of them. Wilkie has been playing really well, but I'm pretty sure he's a bit of a key defender, so maybe not what you want to go about. But he has been taking a lot of marks, so he could be a good pod option. I'm not sure I really want to go there, though. I'm not sure I'm a believer of the St Kilda that's been playing, but they have been playing really well, so you can't fault them for that. Looking at that otherwise, the extended bench is a bit interesting. I assume that those first 4 are going to be the 4 that play. Clark, Stocker, Butler, and Windhager. I don't think Stocker's done anything to be dropped. Neither has Clark. And Butler and Windhager, you would assume. Campbell, no. I'd say Bytel's going to go back to his spot of playing as that sub. Although we hate it because he has shown really good scoring potential. It looks like a position St Kilda got him stuck to, unless there's an injury in their midfield. So that's all to say about that game. Gold Coast. So Jared Witts is back, and the rumours of him having a worse back injury than has been stated are seemingly just rumours. Otherwise, Joel Jeffrey, Levi Casbolt, nothing really surprising there. Aaron Hull is back in. How that's going to affect North will be interesting. I've heard there are some rumours that Sheasel could be going to be laid out. So that could be who Hall then initially comes straight in for. So just be aware of that. But hopefully he doesn't. See in a sec if he's been named on field. Otherwise, Miller Bergman has been scoring all right, I believe, as a 123k rookie who's now, I think, 140, 150 maybe. So could be someone you bring in. Seems to have the job security, just in case he is named on field here. He's not named on field. Neither is Hall. Phillips is also on that interchange, but you'd assume he'd be playing, especially with the injury to... What's his name? Simkin. Yep. So you'd assume Phillips is going to keep a good role. Looking at Gold Coast, their extended bench includes Moyle, Jeffrey, Andrew, Casbolt, Fiorini, Rosa, Sexton, and Humphrey. So I'd say Sexton's going to be the sub. Humphrey, it's a hard one from there. I've heard that Dew wants to play Moyle and Wits together, but is North the team to do that against? I mean, it's not like they have a too strong ruck outside of Golds. Like their ruck outside of Goldstein isn't great, so maybe they could try and take advantage of that. But I'm thinking the makeup's probably going to be the top four: McAndrew, Casbolt, Fiorini, and Humphrey. But I will say this: just wait on Wits. He could be a laid out in this one, and that could be Moyle comes in. So just be aware of that if you still own Wits. So interestingly, Zeeble still on the back flank. Otherwise, for North, Sheasel is named on field on the wing, and there's not much interesting in their midfield other than that. If you hold Power, he's in the midfield. Named in the midfield anyway, but he always seems to just get put forward or something and just go out of game. So he hasn't been the greatest mid-price pick, especially for us in the Supercoach Challenge team. And LDU, he is come off his heater from the first two games, and hopefully he can pick it up. Gold Coast is probably the team where he does it, so watch that space. But in saying that, he's going to probably go up head-to-head against Matt Rao, and Matt Rao has been doing a very good job tackling this season, so anything could happen there. And Took, a big player that's been brought in a lot this week, looking like a very good run to come. So if you're interested, probably the week to get him. And then to the last game of the week, it's Melbourne v Richmond. And interestingly, Shane Short is back in. Lever, Gawn, Hibbard, Dunstan. Those are some big ins. Well, Dunstan actually probably not, but Hibbard, Gawn, Lever definitely. Bailey, Laurie, nah. I think, what have we got here? So, Grundy's named on bench. So, Gawn's going straight back into that rut role. So, if you hold Grundy, you can still keep him on field. I think he's got a real low break even, so you can kind of see what happens before you waste that trade. If anything, you're going to get a price decrease out of Max Gawn. I think he's like break even here is like 250 or something, which he's not going to go. I assume he won't go. He could do it, but I don't think so. Oh, Cade Chandler on a halfback flank. That's interesting. Wait, what's going on here? That's just rubbish. Chandler and McVee are going to swap, aren't they? Yeah, that's rubbish. That's just written. That must be written the wrong way in. But anyway, yeah, you can hold Grundy. Gawn, definitely gonna be an interesting player now. He's gonna lose a lot of money, so could be right for the picking in a couple of weeks, assuming he is playing well. McPhee's held his spot. Otherwise, Melbourne-wise, not too much here to talk about. They're just going on. Oh, actually, JVR's kept his position in the forward line. So, very nice for JVR holders. We were a bit worried he might get dropped, but he is named at full forward. And what I'm noticing is no Ben Brown. So, is he still injured or what's going on here? Very nice for JVR owners. Very, very nice. but I could see a Dylan Grimes giving an absolute bath this week. But we'll see what happens. They looked pretty bad against Sydney, the old Tigers, and they've got some good players back here. So Jack Ross and Jaden Short will be helpful for their team. Doesn't look like Ross is actually going to get a game because I assume that the bench is definitely going to be Short, Prestia, Cochin. That last spot will be interesting. Ralph Smith actually played pretty badly last week, so maybe he's going to go get dropped. Tonzi might be the sub by the looks. I don't know. I thought Jack Ross had been playing quite well for Richmond, but maybe I don't watch enough Richmond, to be honest. I don't know. Any Richmond fans out there can tell me. I assume Judson Clark's going to keep his spot. I know Ralph Smith did some absolutely horrible kicks, and maybe did make mention of that in the press conference at the end about some of the usage. So maybe he's getting punished for a bit of that usage, because I definitely would feel that their interchange is going to be Short, Prestia, Cochin, and then one of these last five. You can't do it, but Cochin does seem like the type of player you could use as a sub because he is a bit older, and it seems like the guy they look to sub out anyway. But I guess maybe they want him at the start and then they sub him out at the end. Ryan has been named in the followers as the ruck, but he was named that last week, and then Ben Miller took about 30 to his 5. I was at the game and had a pretty good view of the ruck contest, and when Ryan was in the ruck, they looked so much better, and they started actually turning the game. He seemed to be able to get taps where he needed to. He could have gone a massive score if it wasn't for some drop marks and just some general ruck rookie madness, really. He just drops some really easy marks and kind of looks like a bit of a giraffe when he's out there, but he's trying his best, and hopefully he can get us a big score this week. I think that he's going to be decent. Probably a bit annoying for people who are picking between him and Van Ruin, but the job security was always there for Ryan, whereas there was a bit of a question mark over Van Ruin. But now we've kind of got the answer to that question with Brown staying out of Melbourne. So if you're a JVR owner, you're very happy. And I guess seeing Ryan named in the ruck again, you're probably happy with that as well. So I guess that is the teams. There isn't any other game. Nope. Is there a Monday game? Oh, this is the Monday game. All right, that's it for the team. So after saying that, we'll quickly go to the team and just kind of have a quick discussion about what we've done here. So the two changes we made are bringing in the Bont as our primo this year. Week. And we have traded out Jimby and Mackenzie. Now, I actually, we could keep Jimby now. And what are our options? So our options are, which actually, in going back to the teams, Constable has not been named even emergency now, so he has really just fallen out of favour with the Gold Coast. Real bad read on that one from most. He just was getting so much of the ball. If they get one injury in that back line, surely he's back in. He's been absolutely tearing up in VFL, but maybe just one of those players who gets VFL time but not AFL time. So sad one for Holders, but keep holding out hope he just keeps knocking on the door in the VFL. All right, so as we said, the changes were Robertson, Bont for Jimby and Mackenzie. Still got a lot of cash in here. We're going to keep trying to move out rookies as we can now. Baker, I think, is actually a decent hold just because of his next run of games, just the same as Bont. I'm kind of thinking now that maybe we should be trading out a couple of these guys and getting some money makers in. And that might be something I'll look at doing next week. There actually isn't anyone this week who I really want to bring in. If we go to under, I think, Chess actually has more chance of playing than Constable, but his scoring's been horrible, so I don't really care for it. What's it say on here anyway? Not much that. What does it say for his injury time? Play notes and news. 4 to 6, so he's still going to be out for a bit. But we could save a trade by not doing this, so that's another thing. I haven't done that. This is less than 3. All right, so it's bringing in still. Sure, because they both have less than 3. We might as well have a quick look at this. 163 break even for still, so you can definitely wait another week on still. Now there was something about the Crows I said I was going to look at. The team sheet from last week. All right, sorry, this is a bit all over the place. So where was he named? Oh, he was named in the forward line as well. Okay, so yeah, don't worry about that. That was a bit of a. I just thought it was weird, considering where he actually played. But apparently, that is just how they're naming it. Go for it if you wish. But yeah, Ned Long, as we were saying, 67 looks like a good scoring rook that could be brought in a week. And then if we go here, we got in the forward line Snelling, a bit expensive. McKinty's a bit expensive. Mitchell, as we said, could lose his spot, so nothing really here. Oh, if they play Williams as sub, that is so flattening. But anyway, I think this is how we're going to set up. I like Roberts a little bit more than anyone else there. Matthew Johnson now is actually one you could look at because he is named as a follower. So definitely keep an eye on that. Hopefully he doesn't get that forward role. It looks like he could be getting a nice position, nice job security now in Fremantle because I think Corey Warner's still playing in as well, who they might just be trying to back in some of these young guys a little bit now. So might as well keep an eye on that. Otherwise, if you've got to the end of the video, thank you for watching. It's always really good to do this thing. I love talking about Supercoach, so might as well just chat away. Sorry for the long videos, but that's what you get. If you give us a like, follow, subscribe, I am going to be trying to come up with more content that's outside of the challenge. Got a few ideas of stuff that could be interesting. I just need to get some time to be able to do it. Now, if Hunter Clark's injured, we're going to have to probably trade him out. I'm just thinking as well, in between that. Or bring in a defensive rook. Maybe that could be a downgrade and bring in Chincotta. But otherwise, give us a subscribe, give us a like, comment what you think of the teams, who you think you're making for your moves. As I said, we're probably going to stick with Bont and VC Bont into Dacos. But I know obviously a lot of the actual series teams are going to be a lot different to that. So if you're enjoying the content, give us a subscribe and there'll be plenty more to come. Cheers.